Hey, good afternoon. It's 4:58 p.m. It is December 26th, the day after Christmas. I'm looking outside my window and I can see the full moon and it's beautiful. It's got this like orange glow to it. It's very beautiful. I'm wondering, is it a harvest moon? Let me take a look what moon it is. It's a quarter moon. Well, no, it's not. It's a full moon, but I don't know. I usually have like a list of which moons they are. Each month has a particular name to the moon, but it's beautiful. Anyway, so I wanted to say to the main perpetrators, the ones who have the, I guess, power and authority to, instruct people to blacklist me, because obviously you guys are like in like a high level of power, and I want to address that because, obviously I've been making some videos since I've been unwinding this mystery, and and I know that people are getting tired of my rants. Okay, I'm trying to keep it civil here, but I also ask that you see my point of view because I understand the involvement of certain people in this quote unquote experiment. And I did mention the fact that the Joseph Mengele issue really had me shaken. It really does. Okay, and obviously you can see why. Um, what bothers me is, I knew that this was there was a lot of racial issues and then it was a religious issue, and of course I expressed on my videos how disturbed I was, but then when I found out I was cloned and then going it all the way down to this, like, finding out this has something to do with my dad, blah 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 blah, and then the thinking, and then I really started thinking of it. Okay, well, who's my fan, who was I before, and then who was, who my mother was, and then coming to find out that Joseph Mengele was involved through meditation, okay, and then also just kind of figuring it out because I do understand about Operation Paperclip. It is publicized. I mean, there's information written about it. And I had read about it many years ago, and I kept thinking, when does this relate to Operation Paperclip? And then I kept thinking, I knew that there was like a big mystery as to exactly where Joseph Mengele's whereabouts were, because people said that he was over, I think, in, I want to say Argentina. I can't think of, maybe is that right? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, he was anywhere but here in the United States or whatever. And I don't know if he was here in the United States at the time when this experiment was going on or not. I don't know. But, I do know that he was one twisted man. Okay. But I know that he also thought he was doing it in the name of science. But the thing is, when a lot of people, Joseph Mengele, I don't know if he borders on ignorance or evil or both. And the reason why I say that is, when somebody is extremely racist, they're not able to relate to anybody. They look at other races as its or inanimate objects. They don't think about what they do. They don't think of them as people who have families they want to go home to. They don't think of them as people who have dreams or anything like that. They just think of them as like some shit under a fucking test tube, right? Or what do you call it? A microscope or whatever. So they dehumanize, okay? And then the people underneath them are going to follow their instructions. So, and people follow the people in positions of power, without question. So there's people on that. So let's just say Joseph Mengele was at the top of the very pyramid, along with the asshole the big head honcho asshole that I will not mention on my videos. Okay, so they were like in collaboration, okay, or something like that. And then it shoots down the little pyramid, and then other people don't know all the little details and everything. And then anyway, I think you get the picture, right? So what bothers me about it is that I've read about Nazis. I've read about the Holocaust. I've read about Joseph Mengele before. And to think that the participation of certain people and their enthusiasm for it, you have to understand, like when I do these spout off videos, and how it's just only logical. It only makes sense that somebody would form the conclusion that these people are Nazis themselves. Okay? Like, I'm assuming that, You know, I can't, what else am I supposed to think? What else am I supposed to think? Why wouldn't I think that? You know, and so of course there's a lot of fear. You become very disturbed, you know, and it's just the whole operation was sickening. Now maybe there's notes that need to be taken on this experiment, and I think that there really should be, since he wasted 52 years of my life. You know, if you wanted to do an experiment, like a positive experiment, you should have made sure that the environment was pleasant for me instead of being bullied. And see, this is the reason why I think that this particular experiment was, you know, created by Joseph Mengele, because why would there be so much ridiculous hatred in my life? I understand that I was a clone um, of Prince Alamehu, but still, I don't understand the connection of why have a twin. And I do believe that this is a fraternal twin. It's not my, you know, what they call like identical twin, where we both have the same fathers or whatever. Um, so anyway, it seems as though this particular experiment was meant to pit me against somebody, okay, which is an unfair competition, seeing as how I had no idea that this person even existed. I didn't even know they existed until like the last few weeks or so. I don't, you know, and I don't know this person, but I feel as though there was some sort of competition that was created, um, and you know, that's why I feel as though, or maybe suspect, or believe, and adds to the emotional disturbance of this being some sort of experiment that Joseph Mengele created. So let's just assume that my last employer, I was being set up for white fucking racist entertainment, for white bullying. You know what I mean? That's disturbing. And when you think, I mean, it's different when you deal with an everyday racist, okay? But when you take it down the line of the connection of the Joseph Mengele thing, then that's what bothers me. It bothers me. So I don't know if people were really aware of the pyramid scheme. Like the pyramid, like for example, like, let's just say for example, the last places that I've been working at, like the last 3 employers that I've worked for, they might have been somewhere like on the middle of the pyramid. So therefore they didn't really understand. Yeah, they knew I was a clone. Maybe they knew it was an experiment to see that, you know, what kind of skill level I have, or what kind of whatever. Those, you know, those little details that I think it's important, I guess, to note down. But like, I guess what I'm saying is that I have every right to feel the way that I do. And so when I'm spouting off, it's not just me bitching to be like bitching. It's me out of, well, number one, it's therapeutic, but the other issue is like, um, do you know how disturbing it is when I think about the people who are in control and the things that they do to people? It's, you know, to think that something that was enacted in the Holocaust was being enacted here in the United States directed towards me. This is the same sort of, you know, I'm not saying it's not as bad as what the Jews had, but the same tactics, the same sort of targeting was enacted on me here in the United States. And, you know, and then you think about when people want to win a fight that I had no interest in participating in, they will go to all kinds of extents to quote unquote win, you know. Um, I would never be in a competition. I'm not competitive at all. Like seriously, I only wanted to hear about my space, and I think I wanted to go a little bit more into the experiences I must have had in my past life, because I've lived several times. I mean, I must be ancient, really, think about it. I am ancient, but um, you know, I've always felt like I knew human behavior very well, and I know when I first created this particular channel, in the about section, I previously had written that I was a social reformer, only based on this issue. Okay, like I don't go around like marching up and down saying you know you need to conduct yourself, but I got involved in something, this program, this experiment, beyond my control, and so then I had to exercise, my will and my determination, and also my background on understanding things like the law, and communicate it in my videos, right? So that brought out, this particular person or trait that people usually don't see. Okay. Where am I going with this? I think I'm saying is that it should be understood that I would be disturbed by something like that, by people betraying me, by being just the fact that okay, here's cruelty number one, Joseph Mengele cruelty number one, experiment issue. Number one, being raised in a family and being misled into thinking that that was your family. Now, I've always thought it was cool and respected when people would just tell their kids, when they're young, hey, you know what, you're adopted. Just tell them. I mean, because I knew kids who were like that, and everybody's got their problems in their family, right? But they seemed like they were well adjusted. So it's almost like, you're being raised in a deceptive manner. In a very deceptive manner. And then also number two, it should have been agreed upon that my mother should have had some sort of code of ethics in how she dealt with each child in the family. She should have gotten some sort of training, okay? But by just throwing me in willy-nilly, I know that was my father who wanted me, okay? But still, it's like and the fact that I was bullied in school and everywhere that I went, and my family, my siblings were bullying me. It seems as though this sort of chaos was stirred up on purpose by people in positions of authority, so that it was like some sort of a racial attack or something like that. Perhaps the experiment was supposed to be based on the issue of being a twin, and then also the fact that you're giving one twin like a life of privilege, and you're giving another one not so much a life of privilege. Don't get me wrong, I never like really did without anything, but at the same time, comparing how the twin that I have lived, there's no comparison, right? Okay, so perhaps maybe she was in an environment in her school where she was able to function. She didn't have to deal with bullying, because this is a test between, or some sort of like experiment to see how one twin fares better than the other, or something along those lines. Like, how putting them in different environments, okay? Kind of like the movie Boys of Brazil, where they like cloned all these like Hitlers. They cloned all these Hitlers, right? And put them in like different families, okay? Something along that line, right? Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that this was part of the experiment. That right there is disturbing, okay? Because I don't think that people who are the thing is, okay, Nazis don't have empathy for shit, okay? So that experiment to me was inhumane. It's cruel. It's evil, okay? But this is what Nazis are known for, and this is what I can only associate Joseph Mengele with. Okay, so when I start thinking about the people that I worked for and my previous workmates, the only thing I can think of, I'm disturbed. I'm disturbed as fuck over that issue, and rightfully so. And for some, like I said, I know I don't want to continue dragging this on, but maybe like some of these people who, like maybe some of these agents that might have hung around in the school and started stirring this shit up with the kids in school or whatever, maybe, just maybe, oh, I'm sorry, I gotta take 1 second, just 1 second, I gotta look at the moon, it's so beautiful, so beautiful. In fact, let me take a picture really quick so I can post it as a thumbnail on my video. That is absolutely gorgeous. But anyway, I'm going to see if I can find my phone while talking at the same time. But these agents that were hanging around like the school, the neighborhood, probably whispering and training my brothers and sisters and stuff to act against me, this was a part of their program. And so it could very well be that that's the case. You know what I mean? Because why in the world, I have never done anything to warrant that. I never did anything. Just the fact that I existed. I would say that, you know, I would do little devilish things that most kids do. Okay, like I remember when I was a kid, you know, I wanted to try smoking cigarettes. So I remember getting in trouble because I smoked cigarettes. I can tell you there are so many like people posting things about them getting in trouble smoking cigarettes. I didn't do anything so bad, that so out of the ordinary, that would warrant that. To miss out on like my childhood, to miss out on being a teenager, to miss out on, you know, certain aspects of my life that were important. You know what I mean? So when, like I said, you know, please, hey, you know, I'm disturbed by this. Okay, so this is this issue about the experiment. Now, I personally think perhaps maybe that cloning. Hang on a second. I want to go in order of this. This issue of me being a clone, it's good in some ways, okay? What I mean by it's good for me finding out that I'm a clone, okay? Because in a lot of ways, it brings more normalcy in my life. Like, you know, before I knew that I was a clone, and before like this issue kind of, you know, got resolved and everything, I always felt like people were like, you know, talking and staring and doing just rude shit all the time. Now people kind of like just, it's just like they deal with it. Like they're cordial or whatever. It's like normal. It's normal. But on the other hand, when I'm here at my house and I really start thinking about this issue, it does seem surreal to me, because all of this issues about being a clone, like I said, you know, as far as like news reports and what has been released to the public, nobody, there has never been like any news report, formal news report, that yes, you know, we made clones. Okay, I know that that, you know, like quote unquote conspiracy theorist type people write things on like, you know, books and whatever, and they talk about clones. They talk about clones, and and you know, there's been talk about clones, and I remember reading this, you know, reading it, and from what I understand, there's a possibility that if cloning has been going on since maybe around the 1930s, earlier than when I was here. Okay, as a matter of fact, I just got done watching a video on YouTube. Was it YouTube or was it Facebook? I don't know. Somebody posted a video about these, you know, kids in the, you know, this overflow of babies in the United States and in England and all these other places years ago. Okay, maybe cloning's been going on longer than that. I don't know, but anyway, you read about it. I've read about it, and I always thought, well, there's a possibility, you know, there's a possibility, but I never like was fixated on the clone issue. You know what I mean? But still, in the back of my mind, I always felt like I really didn't like the idea of cloning. I didn't like the idea of cloning. I do understand that it like, for example, if you're trying to produce a certain kind of person, I know the Nazis did have an idea. They had an idea of like a superior race, okay? But they must have also had, the superior race would possibly have to exhibit certain characteristics and traits, like ideal traits, like strength, inner strength, a certain sense of power, decision making. They want strong people. Okay, they want probably that. And how do you produce strong people? Maybe that, I knew that they were really into eugenics and all that stuff. Okay, so when I think of like someone like myself, okay, and I know that obviously Prince Alemehu must have been a very intelligent person. Obviously, he was an occultist, and not only that, he's experienced several lifetimes before this, right? So he's going to gain like a lot of knowledge, and he's going to make good. And plus, we're talking about bloodlines. This whole thing, Nazis are all into bloodlines. That's all they're into, right? So you know, in terms of trying to produce, like in terms of eugenics, okay? If you're looking to make ideal people, cloning may be the only option for that, okay? If you're looking for like certain things, like, now this is the reason why cloning seems, I'm a little bit off. I'm still, even though I'm a clone myself, you know, and I'm grateful to be here, don't get me wrong, okay? But I'm not a fan of cloning, okay? I'm just not. I'm not a fan of it. I understand the importance of why people need to kind of raise the vibration of like human existence. I fully understand that. So if you are looking to do that, that's a good way of doing it. Maybe that might be the only way of doing it. That doesn't mean I have to be a fan of it. But I do understand it. I do understand it. I don't know if this was just like a test willy-nilly, or cloning was just something that people did for fun. Hey, let me like, recreate Julius Caesar or bring him back to Earth or something crazy like that. And just see and study what he's doing. And it doesn't go any further than that. Or is this like some full-on, like, I don't know, it's your idea of creating, people, certain kinds of people, you know what I mean? But like I said, if you're looking to create traits and like, like eugenics or whatever, I suppose that would be the only way to do it. I'm not in favor of it for those reasons. The fact that it, Nazis, like I said, they don't, or Joseph Mengele, they don't, feelings, emotions, anything that relates to human behavior seems to say, that Nazis really don't give a shit about. Like, they don't care about anything. I mean, that's how they can kill so many people. You know what I mean? And this test, to me, just kind of has the hint of it. And that's why it disturbs the hell out of me. I'm disturbed by it. You know what I mean? So, please, I get the sense, like the psychic sense, that there's people who feel puzzled, like, well, it's not that, they feel like maybe I shouldn't be holding a grudge towards them, or I'm making too big of a deal of this. I'm the kind of person that puts things into perspective. Because like I said, there is this like little pyramid where people on top know everything, and some people are down on the bottom shingles of the pyramid. They know that they should act a certain way towards me because they've been instructed doing this, but do they really know the deep down reason why? But see, I'm somebody who brings clarity because I have the blood of Solomon that runs through my veins, right? And then I also have common sense, and I've lived so many fucking times before. It is a very spiritual thing, and this is one thing I have to say where this is beautiful. I mean, I was like tripping on this because this is where religion and science merge in one. That's so deep and it's so cool too. But still, once again, there's just something beautiful about, okay, maybe it is a small smidgen of romanticism in my heart. Why do I feel that way? Because even though I understand that romance and shit is bullshit and it's just like it's so like temporary, okay? Deep down inside, don't people want to create beings out of love? But the sad part is beings that are created out of love are not practical, nor are they able to survive. That's deep, okay? That's so deep. Because there's certain, if you're looking for like creating this kind of stock or this certain kind of individual, but, just, I don't know, people dream of, falling in love and creating children based on these two individuals making one individual, or maybe two if they have twins or whatever, right? Like a child made of love, I guess, but then that's part of the fairy tale, right? That doesn't really exist. So I guess if you want to create warriors, you can start creating warriors. If you want to, like, create a bunch of tap dancers and talented singers, you could just do that instead of like giving birth to somebody and just getting something by chance. You don't know what you're going to get. I'm just trying to make it clear or how I see this experiment. But I do think the experiment was dehumanizing. I do think that it was, to me, when I look at it closer, that's just like, this is reeks of Nazism. And this is where you have to understand from my point of view, exactly where on the pyramid were these employers before I cast judgment on them. I have to meditate on that issue because, believe me, I'm mad at a lot of people. And rightfully so. But, anyway, going down the line. Testing, I'm reading my notes here. Versus not so. Okay, yeah, I mentioned that. And then the number one teaching ethics. Okay, yes, I do look at myself as a social reformer. I do have a higher standard of ethics. Like I said, I understand human behavior. I understand how to be blameless and how to conduct myself and live my life in a way that doesn't bring reproach, especially to God. Okay, especially. Okay, so I'm a very spiritual person, and I also understand that I have what some people look at as, oh gosh, and I hate saying this, I do, because like when I say this, I almost feel embarrassed. Like, because when I say that we come from the stars, okay, I guess some people, they would want to say all that, so they would probably just say alien, right? And aliens can be angelic creatures, and some of them can be demonic creatures. Alien is something that lives out of our dimension, I guess, whatever. Whew, it's so deep. Anyway, uh, obviously, I think that I don't like to call myself good, but I'm a big, extremely, strongly moral person. Like I try my hardest to um, to have good ethics. You know what I mean? And like I said, that comes with maturity to finding out. Like, I remember when I was younger, I would blow a lot of stuff off, but you have to understand the reason why. I was in a lot of bad environments when I was growing up. And so, there were times where I would say, "Oh, I'm going to show up one day," but I remember the bullying and I would get sick and then I wouldn't show up. Or I would leave early or whatever because I really could not stand that environment. Whereas I think some of the people that were targeting me, like I said, just much like the workplace, they create the toxic environment and whatever and whatever. I'm wondering, do these agents know what part of the pyramid were they on? Where they were just being instructed to, hey, see what she's doing, let's go kid her, just kid her around. They just kind of like say a joke or something that's really mean spirited or whatever. And did they just do that because they were teasing on the playground? Even though those jokes were highly racist, but a lot of white people were racist back then, okay? And some not even intentionally. Some people were just racist because, not so much racism, more prejudiced. You know what I mean? Or somebody who's, I don't know, thoughtless, whatever, but not necessarily outright genocidal. So I'm trying to figure out where these agents or whatever who was doing all of this, where were they on the pyramid? Were they like directly getting instructions from Joseph Mengele himself to come to my school? And so like you gotta understand, I'm a deep thinker, and I like literally like pick through every situation because that's how I am. That's why I'm able to figure out stuff because that's my brain. You know what I mean? It's my brain. So yeah, that kind of throws me off a little bit. The next issue I was going to address was, okay, so when it comes to the whole twin experiment, okay, you can note this. Like I said, I've never met my twin, okay, but I do know that somehow or another she was associated with my like bullying and harassment or whatever. Okay, I don't know her. I don't know her habits. I don't know what color she likes. I don't know anything about her. I saw a picture of her. That was about it. I saw also a video of her too. Okay, I don't know anything else about her. No, I don't know at all. Okay. Um, I'm over here. I grew up in Lancaster. I don't know exactly where she grew up, but from your notation, you probably thought I was a nervous kid or whatever. I was somebody who was giddy. I was giddy. I mean, I try. I really think, you know, after all of the mean spirited kids, I did have a pretty good outlook on life overall. You know what I mean? I really do believe that it's been my spirituality that has saved me, even though like none of the shit in Lancaster, as far as like the social life and everything, these kids were all bullies. You know what I mean? They were bullies. Okay, the environment was bullying. It was toxic as hell. But somehow or another, I was able to crack a joke. Maybe I don't know, but I'm glad, and I think that that's the way it really should be. You got to be strong. Let me see. Yeah, I'm self motivated. Okay, I'm very self motivated. Um, and I've made. Let me see. Oh yeah. Okay, so like maybe for example in this experiment, maybe my twin may have been, because like for me, I was the one who was chosen to be targeted and tested on how it's like to live a life completely opposite to my twin. So like I said, My twin, she lived in privilege. She went to school without being bullied. She never got, it was never interrupted. She went to good schools where, I don't know, maybe the curriculum was a little bit deeper or whatever. Maybe she had certain things that, of course, I didn't, right? And no one ever bullied her or anything. I'm just trying to figure this out, okay? So here I am over here, because this is an experiment. Joseph Mengele is involved in it, just trying to figure it all out. So here I am in Lancaster, right? I'm in Lancaster, and I'm going home every day to siblings that are like constantly like talking behind my back and having my friends bullying me, and they're bullying me because they're being instructed by some head honcho or whatever. However that works, right? So, um, but because I was raised, I've learned how to self-adapt. I've learned how to adjust and be self-motivated. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that maybe, yeah, I just can adapt. And I could survive that. Not survive. How can I say it? Because it was horrible. But what I'm saying is, I developed strength. I developed strength. I'm able to put things into perspective. Now, before I understood why I was dealing with these irrational people, I honestly just thought, I kind of knew that people didn't like the fact that I kind of knew a lot of stuff. Like, I remember when I was in school, they would ask questions and I would talk to the teacher and I would answer her and mention certain things that, it sounds precocious for a kid to say. It does sound that way. It sounds like, come on, you're only like 6. So I remember some kids calling me a know-it-all. I remember, kids making fun of me for that. And the very fact that I was a young kid who devoted my time into studying things like religion, watching things like the Holocaust, I'm different, okay? But I understood, like, I knew not to value people to that extent, to where I felt as though something was wrong with me, because there wasn't anything wrong with me. The only thing is, when you're looking at this from the perspective of the experiment, okay, the problem with it is, if a person is to live with superior traits among other people, it's miserable for them. Now, I'm not bashing anyone else, because you create somebody who has superior traits and you put them in an environment, okay? And of course, this person is going, I am who I am. I am who I am, and I understand rights. So it's almost like the laws were written for clones. It almost seems that way, because I have rights to be who I am, whether people like it or not. You know what I mean? And I can't help that. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows you're supposed to, take care of yourself. Everybody knows that if you have an emotional problem, you should find constructive ways to deal with it. I don't always deal with my things constructively. Every once in a while, I have some cigarettes and stuff like that. And here's the thing, and I know good and well the harm that cigarettes can do. You know what I mean? But here's the reality. I never claim to be perfect. I never claim to be perfect. I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? And genetically, there's certain things that are wrong with me. Like, for example, I was born with vitiligo. There's like this coloring on the side of my face, right? Um, I have flaws, right? But like, as far as my habits, people expect you. When I was being bullied, you're expecting a person who has superior traits to dumb down. That's absurd. When the goal, everybody knows, the goal for humanity is to evolve. So the only thing I can be in life is a teacher. That's it. I can teach people who watch my videos. I can be a social reformer if they choose to. I can't change the world, nor would even try. Okay, like I said, that would be a silly thing to do in hell. But there are certain individuals who do care, about, trying, how do you deal with conflict? When you have this issue, what's the best way of dealing with it? You know what I mean? And I will tell you, when it comes to arguments, like I said, I'm blameless. Now, some people they don't like the fact that I'm bitching about it, but there are certain people who've gone through what I went through, and they went into their workplace, and they're in jail. Okay, you know what I'm talking about? Because I've talked about this, what this can do to a person psychologically. It can make people go postal. Okay, I've held it together, and I thank my stuffed animals. I do, because what people thought was stupid is actually a good way of dealing with something, right? So let's see, what's the next thing I wanted to say? Okay, yeah, and I've developed my own learning methods. I didn't have the opportunity to enjoy a good school life. Okay, I was bullied a lot in school. It was made very known that I wasn't wanted there. In fact, it was that made known everywhere I went. So let's just say my twin, she got to go into a school with everybody's in the same class, not just class like in the same class, but everybody's in the same social class. And yes, she probably did go to school with white people, but what I'm talking about is like they all have like, you know, the privileges and stuff, right? So she never had to deal with the bullshit that I had to. I'm assuming, okay, when you're talking about these sort of like comparisons, because like I said, I don't know her. I'm just trying to figure it all out. So I'm the kind of person, I'm more hands-on. I'm more hands-on than anything else. You know, and I'm the kind of person, I like to just dig in and do it. Because I didn't have the, you know, the proper time in school to sit here and do, like, to study one. I mean, of course I did that, okay? I did that. But many more people had more of it than I did. Okay, I had a miserable time. So, your notes, the notes for these people who did the experiment would be that this is a very cruel experiment. It's cruel. So if the goal is to continue to make clones, you need to have good environments for them. Okay, you've already tested out this sick thing about like the twin versus twin thing and how the, okay, so now these are your answers. This is it. Do not do that shit again. There's no reason to be sick again. Okay, you already know. So if your goal is to clone, that's your choice. I can't stop this world. Okay, whatever, you do what you want. But I don't think that this is a good thing. Okay, so you know what your answer. That's the answer. Okay, it destroys a person psychologically. Okay, luckily enough, I'm like not. I'm human, but I'm not like I have superior traits because, you know, whatever. And I'm able to analyze things and make sense of it. Some people would have blown their brains out. A lot of people would have blown their brains out. Okay, that's too much trauma to realize that every single person in their life was just an actor, and a malicious one, and a sick one, with acting under the instruction of a Nazi. Do you see what I'm saying? You understand the clarity here that I bring. I'm so good at that. Anyway, it seems very disturbing to me. Yeah, okay, yeah. Overall, I think the experiment was dehumanizing. I do think a lot, it has a person's ability in life to enjoy a social life. It prevents a person from having a social life. Okay, that's one thing. Okay, but it also makes me wise because I know not to trust people. I have zero trust in people. Like I don't trust anyone. People who call me on the phone, I don't trust them. I'm already suspicious of them. I cannot help but be that way. And some people, I know people. I'm trying to make it understood because I was tapping into my meditation. I was thinking about a particular person today, and this person's like, well, you know, their attitude is like, why is it that we can't just, you know, forget it? This is why. Because it all depends on where you are in that pyramid. That's why. That's why. Were you under mind control or did you fucking support something that was meant to destroy me? It comes down to that. You know what I mean? And because I'm bringing clarity to the situation, you need to understand why I feel the way that I do. Anyway, I did get some more intuitive messages. The message that I got was that everyone knows that I do have traits that, you know, I was trying to be bullied and even possibly killed for. Okay, you don't sit here and like, that's what disturbs me the most. You know, posing those sort of ultimatums on a person's life. This is my life. Okay, I have no true friends. I have no fucking true family. I don't have anyone. Okay, I have no one. Okay, now I have my son, but like I said, he's a grown man. And I expect and I want him to grow and blossom without his mother. So at some point, you know what I mean? You know, and I appreciate his generosity. I'm very grateful for it. But you know that I got to take care of myself. You know what I mean? And um, and I'm not. Yeah, I am. I'm by myself. Okay, I am by myself, and you know I made that very clear to people, and I can't put myself in a situation where I'm going to risk myself or put myself in danger. And I feel as though after working for people that I question are affiliated with Nazis, who can I trust? And the fact that a lot of people participated in it. You got to understand. Am I making myself clear and why I see things and why I feel the way that I do? Now do you understand why I feel that way about you guys? Does it make sense now? It should. Anyway, also the message is that there's going to be a lot of people, and there already are, there's a lot of people who are going to be very accommodating to me, and I do appreciate that. You know, I do know that, like when I was on the phone, I think it was a little bit last week, you know, the person seemed like much more nice to me and, you know, more, you know, helpful, and that's nice. But I do appreciate that too. But anyway, yeah, that people do recognize the fact that I reveal the truth, and then I'm able to crack codes for it, like crack codes and decipher and like investigate and add clarity to situations, and that's how people see me. That's what I'm getting in my mind. Thank you, I appreciate that. Also, the message that I got is that yeah, people are surprised. They're surprised because I was a goofy kid, and I grew up to be who I am. I was always serious. People really think back. I was like interested in religion. I would, you know, say things, and I would be like, people would roll their eyes when I would say them, you know, because I would say things that I was too young, quote unquote, too young to say. You know what I mean? Like, how would you know? Or, you know, or somebody's like, would say things like, you're an old soul. They would call me things like that. So, but yeah, I mean, you know, being happy is the goal. I don't understand. This is my way of looking at it, okay? I think, you know what, life sucks, okay? Not just for me, okay? It sucks for pretty much everybody. And I understand that some people, a lot of people are just outright miserable living on Earth. They truly are. And so, you know, we have this idea that we're supposed to tell kids to hurry up and stop being happy and stop being joyful, stop laughing and stop enjoying themselves because we want to prepare them to go to this shithole. You see what I'm saying? It's like, no, you need to hang on to your happiness as long as you can because this is a shithole. This earth is a shithole. It's not the earth itself. Like I said, there's beauty in it. I mean, I didn't get a chance to take a picture of that full moon. Like looking at, obviously that moon is the moon, the earth is the earth. But from the earth's view, I can see the moon. I can see the beautiful trees. I can see, you know, the flowers. I can see the grass, the animals, and stuff like that. It's beautiful. But we have demonic people on the earth. Okay, and I think we want to be serious. We want to. I think I had a balance. That's what I had. I had a balance, and people couldn't recognize that I was a balanced person because I could deal with the bullying, but still somehow raise myself up enough to make a joke or be happy or be silly or be goofy and make myself happier. That's a superior trait, and that's what they failed to acknowledge, and I was bullied for. You guys got it wrong. Okay. I'm gonna come out and say it. Okay, now, I'm not the kind of person I don't tell people what to do, but I do think that I don't understand the reason of why. Okay, I kind of do. I think that people want a one type personality, or they, because I know like I would take a lot of personality tests where I work, and you know people try to sit there and say that I'm an expressive, I'm not an analytical, and their little small limited mind. There's only like you got to be one or the other, but that's not true. It's not true. You know what I mean? It's being more well-rounded if you can have a sense of humor. You can be clever and you can be silly. So, no, anyway, yeah, I was a goofy girl and I'm proud to say it. You know, this world is very hard. Like, why would you want to, like, push your kid out early? Like, why would you want to make them face that, like, too quickly? I say slow down, really. Anyway, the other message I got was no one can or is interested in retaliating against me since everyone knows that they are in the wrong. The reason why I'm making this very clear is not to stir up a fight. I'm just sitting here bewildered, really. I'm like, I'm shocked, I'm disturbed, and my mind's twisted off. Okay, it's not. That's what bothers me. It bothers me that like people bullied me, and they killed my dad, and then they would send me up in jobs to be bullied by like the same little network connection. All I know is Joseph Mengele, my dad's dead at the age of 62. He died in a nursing home. And I was bullied since I was a kid, maliciously, raciously, and then they threw religion on top of it. So when people, my previous employers who might have thought, okay, well, Maria, I'm sorry that we kind of messed with you at work, blah, 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 blah. I didn't mean it, I didn't whatever. If you can't see this, what I'm trying to tell you, why I see it this way, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. But yeah, anyway, I'm glad you guys realize that you're in the wrong, because you are, and I really don't want to have to deal with it any much longer. Really, it's too much. Anyway, also the other message I got is there's all kinds of theories and speculations that people are talking about my backwards 3. Now, the weird thing about that 3, it's got a big gap in it. And that's the only thing that it is. And I obviously know what's front and what's back. But yet, everyone I showed it to, or I remember it as, I remember it as the backwards 3. And it's not backwards. It's just got that, like, doesn't connect in the middle. But I do know that when I would look at it and when I would draw it when I was a kid, like, my mind would just go crazy. Like, it would just open up. So I haven't worked with the backwards 3, but I might just do that in one of my meditations. Just like a good way to do that is like to maybe draw on a piece of paper and then stare while staring at a light bulb, and that way that image will be imprinted in my mind, and I'll just sit down and just like kind of like try to meditate on that weird symbol. Anyway, also there is a small group around you that is okay, there's a small group. No, it's not really a small group. It's actually a big group. It's a group of celebrities, politicians, and other people who are my tribe, who watch me. And so this is for this video is for you, and I'm making it as cordial as I possibly can, because maybe you didn't see the seriousness of this situation and why I'm terrorized by what you guys are and what you represent. That's why I feel the way that I feel. I feel that way because I think it's strange. I still love my parents because I know that my dad wanted me, and I forgive my mother, but I can't get over my siblings. It's the fact that you can actually go along with an experiment knowing that one person is going to have to suffer like that. How could you do that? What kind of person would do that? Did my family know that was the setup? That was the arrangement? It's like I have so much more to dig into. But please understand from my point of view why I'm saying what I'm saying. And how I see it. And how I cannot help but see it from that point of view and from that angle. Because it makes sense. Okay, and it also made sense when I was under the impression that I had my sibling, my siblings were trying to dictate my life, because before I even knew that it had anything to do with the people who targeted my father. I thought it was just like on the family level. you know, that was wrong then. You know, I don't want anything to do with my family. I fucking hate them. You know, my family freaks me out. Okay, it was wrong then. But when I think about, and I hated my employers because I knew that my brother and sisters were warped, and they were accommodating something, and they were terrorizing me, trying to force me to act against my will. And then when I found out that we're talking about the Nazi thing and all everything, that it's too much. So you have to understand from my point of view what that means to me. And I hope that you do. You know what I mean? So that's what I needed to say. I think I said that the best way I could. I'm not trying to rustle feathers because I get the feeling today that there was a lot of people who were angry at me for feeling the way that I feel and expressing myself in my last videos. And it's, you know, please try to understand from my point of view, when I knew that I was in this program and I was trying to figure out what the fuck was going on, and knowing I was like 42 years old, I think, when I left Murray Family Farms, okay? And I knew that I'm going to get old and I have no retirement. I panicked. This is what I was trying to tell these people. And they were fucking like dangling my life in the air the entire time. Tormenting me. Just like Mengele would do. Okay? Do you see this bullshit? I'm basically saying, hey, I need a consistent job. I don't need to work 2 years. And the reason why, you know, I know my last employer, the reason why I left my last employer, I fucking started hating going there. I literally made a decision. I am disconnecting from this job because I got tired every time I expressed what was going on with me and how I felt and how I'm scared and how I'm traumatized and how, you know, I even told my boss one time what my brother did to my arm one time. And the fact that I knew that she was still participating in it, what do you think I feel? What do you expect me to feel? If you can't see it from my point of view, I don't know what to tell you. But anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. I felt that I need to say that. I'm keeping it as civil as I possibly can. You know, it is what it is. So for the people who, the group of the people, there's a group here that appreciate me, and I appreciate you guys too. I think I'm so very happy that you guys watch my videos. For the politicians, you know, I kind of like Joe Biden. I'm not into politics. I've always liked Joe Biden. I don't know why, but I do like him. I don't really know him deeply. There's something about his face, like I like him anyway. But I don't know everyone who's involved anyway. But I appreciate your support. But there are people in this group that do bully me, that like literally has it in for me, and I do think it's on a deep level, because I would never disrespect somebody after seeing them and after they've used words, letting them know that they're traumatized, they're disturbed by it, they're not comfortable with it, and they continue to do it. That to me is very work, and it's not appreciated, which I've stated this before. I've stated it before. I'm not comfortable with it. So, and so, like I said, and that's just every time I see that shit, it's like Mengele, assassination, genocide. That's exactly what I think. When I log into my social media, that's exactly what I think. That's the only thing I can think. The very fact that my last boss had blonde hair and blue eyes, not that that's a big deal, really, but the fact that that's an ideal trait from, like, Hitler, that's what bothers me. And she was used to compare against me. I don't want those competition. No one asked for that shit. Do you see? I'm bringing clarity. I'm bringing clarity to some things that you guys don't think about. Because you guys, some of you guys, like here in the community, we're only on maybe the bottom of the pyramid, maybe the middle of the pyramid, but I'm letting you how I feel. And maybe my ex-boss was somewhere on the bottom of that pyramid. Didn't know. She just so happened to think, well, we're just going to have some, like, girl, like, you know, competition that I'm fucking not trying to. I'm trying to make a living so I can retire. That's the only thing I wanted. Something consistent to get away from what happened to me over at the farmer's place. To start over again. I need something consistent. I worried about retirement. What am I going to do? I don't trust I have no desire to be touched by anyone. I don't want anyone touching me. That's not a joke. I really fucking hate people. Okay? I've got problems at this point. And I will never get married. I gotta take care of me, and I know I only have me. So and you tell this to people, and you can only feel that it disturbs you. I'm disturbed just by that situation. Even when I'm using the word disturbed, I mean that it makes me sick, but I'm fully functional. Maria's a strong girl. She keeps rolling. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm gonna wrap up this video. To my supporters, take care. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.